Alright, I'm going to show you the last of the items that came with the welder at no additional charge, and then I'll show you some of the other goodies I got. So there was a bunch of welding rods sitting on top of the welder, and my first thought was to just leave it because of the bad situation I ran into with the last with the old Lincoln AC225 when I got that. But those rods were in a completely unheated, very damp area, and they were much older. And these rods here, first glance, I thought, well, probably going to be the same situation. That garage was actually a heated garage. He just recently stopped heating it. And when I took these rods out right here, you could see that there's rust on the ends of those tips there. So these have this white powdery. So I think these rods are junk. These were what the heck were these? These were 2860s. These say nickel-free electrode, alloy 28 something, and then on here there's a part number that ends with 2860. So I haven't even looked these up, but these were 2860 rods, I think. So don't know what those were for. A couple of little things started falling out, so I shook the bag some more, and lo and behold, it looks to me like we've got I don't know, must be rodent poop. So it looks like something crawled into that bag there and made it its bathroom. Alright, so the 2860s go right in the trash. These 7014s looking like they're in much better shape. You'll note the pretty much the absence of corrosion on the ends of these, and none of that white powdery substance. These seem to have been spared. So I think these I could try them, and you know, if they crack, then I could try maybe putting them in an oven, and if they still crap out, then just toss them. Same goes for these. These are vertical overhead 6011, so these are fast freezing rods. So 530 seconds, and these also look like they're in good shape upon first view. I don't see corrosion or any of those problems, but again, there might be moisture inherent in the rods that's going to come out when you go to weld with them. We'll see. At first I didn't see any filler metal rods for TIG work, but then when we pulled the welder out from away from the wall, on the cement ledge there was some stuff, and the guy spotted this box and pulled it out for me, and lo and behold, it's looks like it's filled with aluminum. Got quite a bit aluminum filler metal rods in there, which is going to be great because when I'm practicing my aluminum, I can use these rods up, so that's that much less I have to buy when I'm teaching myself. So he really wants to clean out this garage, so there was several items that when I inquired about them, he said I could just take them for free. I was looking through a Toolbox, and there were various tools in there. A lot of the machinist tools he said he was going to keep. He wants to eBay them. There was a nice Lufkin radius gauge set. Again, it's an eBay. I asked him, well, how much he has to get for that, and he said he's probably going to want to get, I think he said 60% off of new or something like that. And I was like, well, you know, I said, I'll keep an eye on it. But there was some other stuff in here though. Let me just get this all out. So these are the items that were in the toolbox that he, in the little individual drawers that he said I could just take. I spotted a couple of inserts. I said, oh, what are these inserts for? He says, oh, for a CNC machine. And he says, you can take them if you want. And I was like, well, what the heck? Why not? Maybe I could find a bar that I could actually mount these inserts in and then use it on my lathe, you know, for giggles. I mean, I don't even know what these are as far as what they're supposed to be used in, what the angles are on them or whatever, but I'm sure, you know, people will be able to, I'll be able to probably find stuff on the internet to tell me, oh, that's a completely different looking one there. And then he had like these here. Look at these little suckers. I mean, look at the cutting edge on that, how tiny that is. He had a bunch of those. Those, at least they got marks on them. Tells you, so I think I could take this number off of here and figure out what these are supposed to be for. Looks like an HG3094L. KC, I don't know. I'm not going to worry about it. I'm just going to throw those in a little container and keep them handy. Then there was this little, almost like a little cutter bar insert. Looks like that might be carbide, don't know. There was a couple of those. A couple of really small center drills. I did see one large center drill, but he wanted to actually keep that one because he's got a large lathe somewhere, I guess, that he wanted to use it with. I'm assuming that's why he wanted to keep that one. But hey, for free, I'll take that. And one, what is this? SE61-22 Interstate. Is that just high-speed steel, or is that some kind of a, I don't know, somebody ground the bejesus out of it. And here's a box of 5 brand new ones, these little curve-shaped suckers right here, for free. Let's see, these are Horn, made in Germany. Ah, it's got to be good. Yeah, so I don't know. Actually says something in German on the back here, but I'm sure by the part number I could probably tell what this could be used for. But I'd be willing to experiment with something like that just to see how it would act if you put it in a tool holder and tried to actually turn with it. So then he says to me, well, you want a center? And I was like, yeah, sure. I thought he meant center drill because I was picking out the center drills, and then next thing you know he hands me a dead center here. So don't know what the taper is on that one, but the price was right. Then I saw this thing in the box, and he said, you can have that. He said, I used that. It had something to do with, he did a lot of crankshaft. He had a crankshaft grinder that he sold. And so he did a lot of crankshaft work. He had valve grinder. He had all the engine rebuilding stuff you would want. He's got a Magnaflux there. He's got a jet cleaning tank and for rebuilding engines. The shop was pretty much for rebuilding engines. But anyways, so I don't have the slightest idea how to use this. I can't find a maker's name on it. Last night I was playing around with it and I realized that you gotta use an Allen wrench to loosen up these little set screws to move these parts around and set it to where you want it. So it's some sort of a gauge. So if somebody knows the name of this gauge, I'd love to know, because I obviously want to see whether or not there's any value to this thing on eBay, because he basically said, oh, put it on eBay, you know. But I was like, I wish I knew what the hell to call it. But he said it has something to do with when he was gauging crankshaft journals or something. I don't know. But if anybody knows the name of this doohickey or who makes it, please let me know. And I went over onto another shelf to look for a cap for that argon tank, because he had 3 of them, but none of them fit. And I came across these 2 little Collets right here, and they got some rust on them and everything. He said, yeah, I could take those. I think they're ER32s. I haven't really looked at them that closely yet, but they kind of look like ER32 Collets. I might be wrong. I'm just guessing. That number stuck in my head for some reason. But a couple of Collets for free. Probably not any good to me, but again, maybe I can get $1 a piece or something like that for them. And then I found this thing here. It says Porta-Tool A600E. I asked him what this was for, and he tried to explain to me what this was for, and I couldn't quite get what he meant. And he said it's a handle for something, and then he said, oh yeah, you can take that too. I'm like, well, I don't know. So I guess if I can't find somebody to buy it on eBay, what I figured out this actually belongs to is this belonged to a whole device that has to do with line boring. So I did find somebody sold a line boring kit for Volkswagens for $750, and that had some stuff in the kit that looked, some components that looked similar to this. So I guess this is part of a line boring kit, and I'd have to do quite a bit of research to probably figure out what it's for. If nothing else, maybe looks like it's a cast piece. Maybe I could actually make something out of this at some point. I don't know. Hey, worst case scenario is it goes in the scrap pile. Then I spotted this little die grinder, and it's got some surface rust on it. It's been sitting there for a while. I can't find a maker's name anywhere on this. If anybody recognizes this die grinder based on the way it looks, I'd be interested to know. You know, my first thought was, I think I can buy like a Chicago Tools one at Harbor Freight for like $10 or something like that. But this one looked like it was a pretty decent, well-made one. So I asked him how much for it, and he said $10. And I was like, I'm thinking to myself, $10, that's what I could buy the Harbor Freight one for, new. But so I said to him, I said, well, how about, you know, I said, does it work? He said, yeah, it worked. So I said, well, how about $5 as is, or $10 if we could test it? So next thing I know, he's firing up his 3-phase converter to fire up his huge 3-phase compressor just so I could test this. It worked perfectly fine. So I popped $10 on that. You know, if it ends up being a better quality one like I'm hoping it is, then it's worth $10 to me. If it's just a cheapo Chicago pneumatics thing from Harbor Freight, then I basically probably paid about full retail for this old used one. Then on a metal shelf, I spotted this pathetically rusty mag base for an indicator. And I thought, well, boy, you know, if he's just going to throw it out, I'll take it and see if I can clean it up. Surprisingly enough, he wanted $10 for it. And then I did a little more digging. I thought, I'm not going to do that. Did a little more digging, and I actually found this other rod, which fits. So now you got your indicator goes in there, and you got the other rod. It should fit in there. Oh yeah, okay, it's tightened. But anyways, so that made it a little better, but it's still rusty as hell. But I said, well, you know, I didn't want to go $10 on it. And he said, well, if he can't get $10 for it, he's just going to glass beat it. He's got a glass beating machine right there. He's going to glass beat it and throw it on eBay. So I thought about it, and I thought, well, he gave me so much stuff for free, and I got such a good deal on the Welder, I think, that I said, how about $10 and you throw in this oil can? Because I kind of like the look of this oil can. It's a nice tall one with a deep reservoir. And he says, well, he says, you got to leave me one oil can. And he says, see if there's another one there. And I looked behind the toolbox, and there was one of those little, the old-fashioned one that it's got the pop bottom on it. You know, the metal bottom that goes. One of those ones, a short one. He says, yeah, that's good enough. That's all I need. So gave me this oil can and sold me the oil can and this rusty indicator mag base for $10. Oh, I missed these. I thought I got them out of the box, but they were so tiny I actually missed them. These little tiny inserts right here were, he included those for free too. There's the insert I just showed you originally, so you can see how much smaller those are. I mean, I can't imagine the size of the CNC machine that must have went on. Must have been pretty small. I almost forgot about this. This is a Starrett last word indicator that was actually on the end of that arm that I found on that rusty mag base. And I said to him, you know, I didn't even want this indicator because it's broken. And he basically told me, he said, you know, well, I could just take that indicator for free. And he's trying to convince me that there's a way that I can free this up. So I don't really know, but it seems to me like there's something missing on the end of this. So I don't know. And there were several other indicators I came across, but obviously he wanted to sell all of those. There was, in one of the drawers, it was a nice looking Mitutoyo indicator, which I had never heard of Mitutoyo until I started getting interested in this whole machining gig and everything. And you know, quick funny story, I keep thinking of Tubal Cain here, because you know, he's not a big fan of Asian-made tools or foreign tools. He usually is quick to point out that he's not happy at all with the fact that something's being made over there instead of over here in the good old US of A. However, the one thing where he does seem to make an exception to that rule is Mitutoyo tools, because he's got quite a few of them. And judging from the prices that they command, they appear to be pretty good. So when I spotted the indicator and it was a Mitutoyo, I was like, oh, no, what do you want for that? He wanted to keep it. So either he was keeping it because he had a use for it, or he wanted to keep it because he knew he could get more for it on eBay. So, oh well. Then went through a couple more drawers, and another one. He had two identical Mitutoyo indicators. And so I asked him, and He sold me this for 10 bucks. I think that's a good deal. So, seems to work perfectly fine. It comes back to the same spot every time. It's not all rusty. So I'm quite happy with that little find. So there we go. So I spent an extra 30 bucks while I was there on this stuff. Really, 10 of it's here in this indicator, 10 of it's there in that die grinder, and 10 of it's here in this rusty old indicator base, and the rest was all freebies. Oh wait, I forgot. There's three other items. All right, these 3 items here were also included in the free for the taking category, and he explained to me that he used these during his work on crankshafts and camshaft grinding. And these are go, no-go type of snap gauges, I think they call these. And they're kind of old. This one's a Southern gauge. Turns out, I checked, this company is apparently still in business. And then my understanding now is that this little circular thing right up here, this actually is where they would stamp when this thing was certified or whatever, or calibrated. Not going to be much use now, of course, but that this could be sent out and I guess set to a very precise dimensions. And you know, the idea is that, you know, if it slides over one and not the other, or not quite sure exactly. These typically, old ones like this, you can still typically bring 5 or 10 bucks a piece on eBay. So I got this Southern gauge one. This one is 1.5 inch to 1 3/4 inch. It looks like. Got this one right here. This is another company. This is something Sure, SCHERR, New York, New York. And I think I googled that, and I think the name Bob Shore came up. So I think this guy made those tools. This one's got this one's an interesting one because I don't know if you could see that or not, but it's got the certification tag right here, and it's got the little anchor US. It's got the U.S. Navy symbol. So this was originally probably in a U.S. Naval shipyard machine shop. And then there's this one here. This is 1 inch to 1.5 inch. I forgot who makes it. Oh, this one I couldn't find a maker on. It's got this different style handle here. It's got kind of a nice indentation for you to grab it with your fingers easily. Well, there's your maker right there. See if I can get a name on that one with the magnification. Alright, so this one was made by the Standard Gauge Company of Poughkeepsie, New York. So I don't think I'm going to really have a need for these, so I'll probably just throw those up on eBay. So that's it. That's my haul.